Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rosie Ha, and I'm one of the brokers at HI Insurance Services. I'll be presenting today's education webinar on domestic building insurance and eligibility, which is one of the services we offer. Here at HI Insurance Services, we have a specialized team called the DBI warranty team that deals with builders and the BPC for eligibility. So we're able to assist throughout the application process from start to finish, and with any inquiries about potential jobs or any intentions of increasing your limits with the BPC as well. Just a quick disclaimer before we start the presentation. I just want to say that the information we're providing today is general information. So it's not going to be information that's tailored to your business. So if you do have specific inquiries about your business and your situation, it's best to contact us and we can definitely arrange a time to have a personalized discussion about your needs and situation. So with HI Insurance, we're a specialized insurance broker and risk advisor that's focused on the residential industry. We are a joint venture with the HIA, which is one of the largest leading industry associations for the residential construction industry in Australia, and also part of Aon, which is a leading global professional services firm that provides a broad range of risk and insurance solutions. So together we have the capability of Aon as a global professional service firm, and with the HIA as an industry leader. So we're able to provide that specialized advice and knowledge for the housing industry and building professionals. So the types of insurance policies we offer, we have four main types of insurance. This isn't that relevant to domestic building insurance, but they are beneficial policies, or in particular the contract works and public liability insurance. That's the major insurance policy that is required by builders. So we have a general insurance team with brokers that are able to provide you with quotations for contract works and public liability insurance. And we also offer cyber insurance, management liability insurance as well, if that's required. So there are different reasons as to why there is DBI insurance in Victoria. Essentially, domestic building insurance provides cover for homeowners who are building or renovating in Victoria, and it is mandatory for builders to issue out domestic building insurance on behalf of the homeowners for any building projects that are over 16,000. And this is to ensure homeowners have the appropriate protections in place if a builder passes away, they disappear, or they become insolvent, or if there's a court action or tribunal against them. So essentially, by having this in place, it just allows homeowners to have confidence in the market, and that they have, builders that are following the legal regulations to make sure that their homes are built properly, and to support the building industry as well. So with the distributor model in Victoria with the BPC, essentially it's a state-owned and operated insurer of domestic building insurance. There's 4 appointed distributors, and HI Insurance Services is one of them. So as a distributor, we work alongside builders as well as the BPC to make sure that eligibility applications are lodged for assessment, and to make sure that the information provided to them meets their criteria. We are also able to support any builders with any inquiries that they have with the eligibility process or domestic building insurance for any COI application forms for projects. And as a distributor, we have direct access to the BPC's BillVic portal and their system, so that we're able to communicate with underwriters and assessors at the BPC. So again, we're able to provide any assistance with project applications as well. So if you do have any questions, for example, if a project does exceed your current limits, we can definitely have a discussion and provide some advice and guidance there. So how does it work? If you're a builder and you want to get domestic building insurance with the BPC, essentially you need to apply to be eligible to issue out domestic building insurance for any project. So essentially, what we call this is the eligibility process, and it is the terms that have been approved to purchase domestic building insurance under certain conditions. So once eligibility has been obtained with the BPC, it will allow us or allow the builder to understand the type of projects that they're allowed to get insurance for. So outline the restrictions or the limitations they have with their eligibility profile, and they'll be able to tell what the maximum value for each project type is. So it will help them understand what kind of projects they can be undertaking with that limit. So the flow chart on the screen here is the process that a builder will need to go through. Essentially, we'll apply for the eligibility with the BPC, which involves the application form and supporting documentation as well. The application itself is a financial assessment by the BPC or the assessor that's been assigned to the application. So they'll do the assessment. It will take around 8 to 10 weeks from the date of submission for them to provide an outcome. And then once we've been notified that it's been finished, we'll let you know what the limits have been approved for and provide you with the limits in a document called a pending letter of eligibility. That pending letter of eligibility will then, sorry, there's been a few issues here. One moment, please. Essentially, with the process, it will, sorry, the slide seems to have updated, so I will have to just continue on. Essentially, the slides, the process is that the builder will then obtain the limits. They'll be able to provide that pending LOE to the BPC's licensing department and obtain a license for that as well. Once that license has been obtained, you'll have to let your broker know or our team, and then we'll forward that on to the BPC so that they can finalize the limits. And then you'll be able to get your eligibility finalized and issue out any domestic building insurance for any projects as well. So in terms of the eligibility itself, the process is the information and the application form that is submitted with the BPC for assessment is the same for a builder that is applying to become a builder. So if you're a new entrant to the market or the industry, it's the same application form as well as for a builder who has been trading and currently holds eligibility. If you're applying for an increase, it's the same application form and generally the same information. However, it's a financial assessment again, so they're going to be assessing your financial health, your building history, and your project capability as well. So this just helps the BPC understand their risk exposure with approving an eligibility limit for a builder. They'll look at, if they've been able to build successfully for their previous jobs. If they've been in the building industry, have a check of their history as well. If there's been any entities that have held eligibility previously and had any domestic building insurance claims, that's all what they're trying to mitigate is their risk as well. So that's why they have so much focus on the financials with these applications. With the process, generally the builder will contact our office or their broker and discuss what their intentions are with applying. If it's an existing builder, we'll have a chat about what they're trying to achieve with the application. If it's a higher limit, what particular limit they're seeking. If they have any particular jobs that they're really wanting to undertake in the near future or the next 6 to 12 months, we'll work alongside them to see if it will be a probable outcome that the limit that they're seeking will be approved. We'll send across an email with the application form, which is a 12-page document with a stat deck page at the end with a checklist of the documents that are required for the assessment. So at the moment, the documents that we or the BPC require have been quite consistent. So it's generally bank statements, rates notices, or land titles for ownerships that are noted for properties on this one of the sections of the application form. We'll need financials for the last 2 years. If it's a sole trader entity, they'll need the last two tax returns that have been finalized. If it's a company that has been trading, we'll need company financials for the last 2 financial years that have been prepared by an accountant. And with bank statements, they're trying to assess that you've got cash available to support the business in case there are any issues with the funds for the projects. In terms of the review process, again, it's not just a combination of, it's not just purely financials or based on the past building performance. It's a combination of these. So there's a lot of factors that the BPC assessors use when approving limits for builders applications. You're looking at past building performance, the number of projects that they want you to undertake and what type of projects. Generally, the BPC is strict with multi-dwelling projects because they are quite large in size and you're dealing with multiple units. So they want to generally assess whether this builder has the history of doing new single dwelling builds or large builds. If you have commercial experience, that will definitely help with your application as well. And that's when we usually ask builders to provide some commentary or a letter just outlining their experience in the building industry with some technical references as well. They want to see that you're able to manage your business properly as well. So if you have a history of managing a business in the building industry, for example, if you're just doing smaller carpentry jobs, that's something that they will like to see in the application as well, is your ability to manage a business as well. They'll look at the history of the business. So if there's been a history in the past where a domestic building insurance claim was made, or there's been any VCAT claims as well, that will impact your eligibility and the assessment that the BPC undertake. So with this process, we have a team that's dedicated to helping builders with the domestic building insurance and eligibility. So we'll guide you through that process from start to finish, and we'll definitely make sure that the application meets the BPC's criteria so that there aren't any delays throughout that process. As we understand that it's quite a lengthy process, having to wait 8 to 10 weeks for approval or an outcome. So with regards to the financial assessment, there's a number of different checks that the BPC undertake as part of their assessment process. So this list here is just some of the checks that they undertake. So net tangible assets and turnover growth, shareholders' funds versus sales, profit margins, interest cover and cash flow, working capital, payment and collection cycles, business structure and trading history, statement of assets and liabilities, return on equity and assets. So with the statement assets and liability, that's referring to one of the pages on the application form, which is required to be completed by all the directors of the entity if it is a company. If it's a sole trader, it will just have to be the individual's assets and liabilities that need to be noted. But essentially, builders are free to note down any assets that they would like to present to help support the application. So if a particular director has, multiple properties, it'll be beneficial for them to note these property down on this page so that the builder or the assessor can see that there's equity that in this business that can be used to support the business should anything go wrong. So essentially, for a company application, they'll look at the company assets and liabilities first and see if there's, if it's been profitable in the last 2 financial years, they've been making money and there's equity in the business. But once they've done that check, they will then move on to the director's cash holdings or personal asset holdings to see if there were to be any issues later on with any potential claims or any issues with progress payments from clients or homeowners in particular, that the directors themselves are able to contribute to supporting the business as well so that there aren't any issues later on. In terms of working capital, they just want to make sure that you've got sufficient cash holdings to make sure that you are meeting your obligations when they fall due. In some instances, we've had builders where, you know, the working capital ratio isn't strong, and that's when there might be an issue there where the BPC will do the assessment and they'll request a share capital injection to be done as part of the terms of the assessment. So there are potential, I guess, conditions that could be applied here if the financials for a particular builder don't meet the expectations of the BPC. Unfortunately, we don't have the exact criteria of what the BPC are looking for as part of the assessment process, but it's something that we can have a chat about more closely with the builder if they are wanting to undergo a full review to increase their limits, or if it's a new entity that's applying for eligibility. We can go through the financials and advise if we think there will be any issues with the outcomes or what we expect might happen with the outcome. So again, here is just another flow chart of the process again. Application process is 8 to 10 weeks, unfortunately. So it's unfortunately quite a tedious process, gathering the paperwork and having it lodged with the BPC. Terms and deeds may apply, and that's where terms might be, again, if there's a share capital injection required for a company, if a deed of indemnity is applicable, we'll request that to be signed by all the directors. And then once that's been sent off, essentially you'll get that pending letter of eligibility to allow you to obtain your licenses with the BPC or the VBA, the licensing department. And then once we've received those numbers, you will get that final letter of eligibility issued, which again outlines your eligibility details, so your total construction limit, your category limits, and we'll also send across login details to access the BillVic portal with the BPC. So with the BillVic portal, we'll send across details on how to access the logins, but essentially this portal is a portal that we utilize as your broker or your distributor to communicate with the BPC and to submit any applications or inquiries as well. For builders themselves, it's slightly different. You won't be able to communicate directly with the BPC. All communication must be done through your distributor or your dedicated broker within HI Insurance Services. And you are able to have a check of your building or your profile with the BPC and see, or download your letter of eligibility to see your eligibility details. The snippet on the right-hand side of the presentation slide is just an example of what it might look like for you if you have your category limits on the left-hand side with the limit or the maximum construction limit for that category as well. So that's for each job, the largest project that you can be undertaking for that particular category. On the BillVic portal as well, you're able to apply for a certificate insurance or domestic building insurance. You can apply for that on the system as long as it's within your category limit and you've got that category approved. It'll go through and then you'll be able to make payment over online, and then you'll be able to download the certificate to pass to your building surveyor and the homeowner. In some instances, if you do put through a job that does exceed your COI or the category limit, for example, if you've got a new single dwelling construction limit of 1.3 mil, however, your job is 1.5 mil, and you put that through, it will automatically refer on the system. And that's when one of our brokers will give you a call to let you know that we'll need additional information. The BPC at the moment are just requesting a copy of the contract, but they can also request proof of funding from the homeowner to see if they have the funds available to cover that entire cost of the build. We are also able to amend and request cancellations for certificate of insurances. So there are many occasions or times where builders will apply for a certificate online and notice that there is an error with the information on the certificate of insurance. That's when you can jump online to Vilvic and request an amendment, or you can contact us and we'll be able to let you know what's required to submit an amendment request with the BPC to get the details corrected. I believe the timeframes for amendment requests are currently 10 business days, but it can be quicker dependent on the number of applications they receive. And with cancellations, you'll have to fill out a cancellation form, provide a reason for the cancellation, and then we'll submit that. Those take, at the moment, 30 business days. So unfortunately, it's not a quick process, which is why we advise that builders make sure that the details on the contract are correct so that the certificate of insurance also has the correct information. With completions, builders are also able to jump online to the BuildVic account and mark jobs as complete once they've been completed. If you've got the proof that it's been completed with an occupancy certificate or certificate of final inspection, you'll be able to submit that on the system and the projects will come off and you'll be able to undertake additional work. So essentially the total construction limit that is approved is the total value of the works that you can be undertaking at a single point in time. Your BuildVic profile will show you what your available construction limit. So any projects that get marked off will be added back to that limit so that you can issue out further DBI certificates. As mentioned previously, we have a number of insurance products that you might want to contact us about. We do have a lot of policies for contract works insurance policies, and that's definitely one of the key insurance policies or general insurance policies that builders should have. We also have the professional indemnity insurance, management liability insurance, commercial motor as well. So we've come to the end of the presentation. If you have any questions at the moment, please leave them in the chat box and I'll try to answer them as best as possible. If it's a question more specific to your business, I think it's best that we take it offline and have a chat. You can contact our office and have our warranty team contact you if you have any intentions of applying for eligibility, and we can guide you through that process. Or if you are an existing builder, you can contact your dedicated broker if you know who they are, or otherwise you're just welcome to contact us on the 1-800 number on the screen, and then we'll be able to provide you with some assistance.